I am Jesslyn Rollins. I am the CEO of BioLite. Catch me on the Jessie T Show.
Jesslyn Rollins, welcome to the Jessie T Show, sister.
Thank you so much for having me. Excited to spend a Monday with you.
Heck yeah, we've kind of dealt with some of the forces of the universe in terms of Mondays, whether it's just schedules. I've had to realign with you, and then also technology issues that we're dealing with. So we're here, we are present, and I'm excited to hear more about you and who you are, because what I've read about, what I've heard about, sounds very much something where you are called to be of service in this world, and you are called to make a difference. And I want to talk about that journey for you. So if you could just give us a little bit of color, context as to who you are and what you do.
Yeah. So I'm Jesslyn. I am the CEO of BioLite, and BioLite is the first recovery drink with as many electrolytes as an IV bag. I got involved with BioLite because it is my family's company. So a few years ago, my mom was going through breast cancer and had a really hard time going through her chemo treatments without getting IV bags beforehand. And my family was trying sports drinks, children's rehydration products, electrolyte powders, and nothing worked. My dad used his experience as an anesthesiologist to create the first recovery drink with as many electrolytes as an IV bag. So pretty much he wanted to bring the IV bag home to mom. And so mom and dad are now 100% owners of BioLite, and I do all the dirty work. I do all the runnings of the company. And it is a great honor, a great privilege to be able to ride this what is it called? Bucking? Yeah, bucking bull that is BioLite.
It's a tongue twister, right? Bucking bull, bucking bronco. There's a lot to unpack there. And again, thanks for the overview in terms of the story, the journey, the calling to be of service. And it was something that was so close and near and dear to your heart with your mom's, health. And so I want to delve in there. My mom, for some context, she's since passed, but they gave her, so she was diagnosed with ovarian cancer. They gave her a year to live, and then she ended up living for another 8 total. And I attribute that longevity to her stubbornness. She's ex-military, active duty as a female back in the Vietnam War era. She was stateside, but I mean, just even being in the military, in the army as a woman during that time, active duty was badass. Number one, you had to put up with a lot of shit. And for her to have this mental fortitude, and again, I call it the stubbornness. I really believe that it was her willingness to fight the fight to survive, because she wanted to make sure her kids were okay. And so in feeling the trips to taking her to chemo, the idea that we were going to take care of her, but even though she was sick, she still took care of us as a true mom would do. I kind of resonate with that story and that journey a little bit. So can you expand on that a little bit in terms of how she found out, what it felt like, and then like what the journey was from, okay, now this is the new normal?
Yeah. So first things first, though, about your mom, I'm so sorry that you lost her to cancer. Yeah,
it was cancer. It ended up coming back a few different times, and eventually it was lung, liver. It was everywhere after about 8 years. Yeah.
And it's such a neat thing that stubbornness, that will, that strength has passed on to you. And it is now such a huge piece of what makes you, and if you have any siblings, who you are.
Yep.
So what a woman.
Badass in all the ways.
That's amazing. That's amazing. But yeah, so here's my mom's journey. My mom was, just to kind of set the stage of Janine Rollins. So mom was born in Vidalia, Georgia. She was, like the onions, Vidalia onions. She was the onion princess. She was homecoming queen. She was voted best looking back in the day, when that was perfectly not politically, perfectly politically correct to say that. And everybody loved her. I mean, everybody still loves her, and she's very strong. I have two older sisters. She set the stage of strong women. Anybody that broke up with us was completely insane. All that good stuff. And mom got cancer when I was in ninth grade. And it was like, so first and foremost, she wasn't going to tell anybody, but when she got the call with hey, you have cancer, we were out skiing in Colorado. And I remember I was putting on my makeup, and she didn't know that I was in her room.
Wow.
And so she goes to my dad and starts bawling, crying. And I turn around. And so she's caught, and I'm like, what the heck is going on? And she says she's got cancer. And I mean, it was so hard to comprehend at 15. But my mom and my family has a very strong hierarchy where my two older sisters were very much older sisters. So my oldest sister, Sarah, and my dad really shielded me and my other sister, Madeline, from everything awful with cancer. Mom's support, her, not having any energy, her not being able to stay hydrated. Sarah, my oldest, was the one that, and with my dad, spearheaded all of the terrible things that came with cancer. They tried to make it very normal for me and my sister, Madeline. And it was through that journey that Sarah was actually the one to come up with the idea for this IV in a bottle concept.
Yep.
And it wasn't, mom really struggled through cancer. She got through it, but BioLite was not something that came about until years later. And she brought the idea to my dad, and my dad, being an anesthesiologist, knew how to make a product like that put an IV in a bottle. And so my mom, that struggle that she went through was not her, but she went to all of my prom, like you call it PDC down here. And she went to every single picture party, prom, all the plays, like Madeline's graduation, just with her no hair and no eyebrows. Like, she is an amazing, amazing woman, but her strength is something that, like you and your mom, I carry with me.
Oh yeah, for sure. And it's a beautiful journey to witness unfold. Even the hard times, and you realize the human condition and what we're capable of in terms of survival and healing, and how we're so powerful just as human beings. And I can remember times where my mom initially, she started going through chemo, and my mom was known for her hair. My mom had very long, almost like jet black hair down to her waist. And, everybody knew her. Like, she had, like, people have attributes, and she was known for her hair. And then eventually she lost her hair. And so in terms of identity, in terms of, ego plays into that. Right. And it's like, who am I? What am I supposed to do now? And I can remember when she would grow her hair back, she would start off, pretty much with nothing, and it would grow back in different colors, which was really cool. Like, so it was sometimes blonde, sometimes like a fiery red. Like, I don't even know how this worked, but it did. And I can remember a couple times, I just felt so compassionate and so empathetic for her that I would shave my head, and I would shave my head to show her solidarity. That, like, cause I remember giving her a massage one day, rubbing her head, feeling, she was definitely acknowledging the fact that she had looked different. And as a woman, being bald is much different than a guy. Guys are somewhat expected to go bald potentially, but women usually keep their hair for life.
Right.
Rubbing her head and just loving on her. And I said, you know what? Like, it just dawned on me. I just shaved my head. And I was like, we're going to go through this together to some degree. And so, it was a beautiful bonding moment. It was a beautiful recognition of what the circumstance was, but it was also a way to kind of like make light of it too. Like we're going to get this together. So thinking about your mom's journey and your journey as well, Can you shed some light on the type of cancer, the severity of it, and what the prognosis was initially?
100%. So mom had cancer all in her lymph nodes, and it was predominantly on the right side, but she just did not want to risk it, so she had a double mastectomy, and she was I always get the stages confused, but I can't remember it. I can't remember exactly what stage, and that's something that I need to ask her. But I know that she got a double mastectomy. I know that it was in her lymph nodes, and I know it hasn't returned. Wow. And it's been over 10 years.
Great.
Yeah.
Great. And so,
and you mentioned your mom, you shaving your head, because it not only showed like a solidarity, a bond, which is really cool, and how humor is very important.
For sure.
So I don't know if you remember these commercials for Six Flags. They had this old man with the bald head, and he was like all like hobbling, and then he was like my mom, that was like her theme song, was looking like that guy. And we have pictures of her going, she just did such a good job. Even though she didn't feel it, she just did such a good job seeming very, very strong. And I mean, she's an amazing woman.
Being that your mom had to go through this, she experienced this journey, and it's probably been a profound teacher in so many ways. Thinking about your dad, who's an anesthesiologist by trade, and he's gone through the Western medical, kind of training. Was there ever any conversation? Because it sounds like it, based off of the finding of BioLite and the growing of that effort, there was somewhat of a Western kind of indoctrination, but it sounded like there was almost like an alternative kind of like, let's try something different. How far down the road did they explore alternative medicines, or even, and the reason why I ask this is because I personally have gone down the route of a lot of Eastern Peruvian type medicine, where I've experienced a lot of different things, from psychedelics to something called combo, which is wildly powerful, to all these different other, what would be called alternative healing methods, but have been around for tens of thousands of years that have worked for so many people. Have they explored anything outside of the traditional, and then leading into BioLite? Like, where was that inception for BioLite?
So my dad is, you're absolutely right. I mean, he was born in Atlanta. He got a very Western training when it comes to medicine, but my dad is all about health.
Okay.
360-degree view of health. And that's why he looks as good as he does, approaching 70.
Wow.
Like he's absurd. All of these things, like eat the colors of the rainbow, grow vegetables in your garden.
Yes.
Like we're from the South, and like that was not like a cool thing. That was just the way that we lived.
Yep.
And I mean, Dad was doing smoothies that were just the color of gross, brown. And he drank them every single day.
I love it.
Like he never got sick of them. I mean,
what were in the smoothies that you recall? Do you remember some of the ingredients?
Oh yeah. He still drinks them. So yes. So you've got spinach, kale, flaxseed, some weird stuff, ketchup, orange juice, okra, asparagus, apples.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I cannot express to you, every single healthy item from your refrigerator was going into the smoothie. Okay. And he 10,000 steps or more a day. Like, and I know that these are little things, but they add up. Like my dad's whole thing is a a pinch of prevention is worth a pound of cure, or an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure.
Yep.
Like, no, there wasn't ever any. Dad is just now starting to get kind of that. He's looking into the power of mushrooms right now. And so, and how not using them for like psychedelic purposes, but like healing purposes, changing your mind purposes. I mean, you get into anesthesiology and you are open to the realm of how can I help with pain and making people feel better. And Dad's also a pain specialist. So yeah, like this mom eating. And mom's cancer, it was very heavy on the estrogen side.
Yep.
So she was eating at that time, she was eating a lot of soy and tofu, miso soup, edamame, things like that. And then now she's like completely cut all that out because it was feeding on that estrogen, or so she believes. And we're very open-minded when it comes to health in my family.
Yes.
But Dad very much even more so. But I wouldn't say we're equal parts. I wouldn't say we're equal parts. We're probably like 70-30.
Okay.
On we like Western medicine 70%, and then 30% is the health, is the other piece of it.
There's a very specific reason why there's certain cultures in the world, thinking blue zones, and there's certain people in the world that have been very successful when it comes to health. And there's profound staples from, what you're putting into your body and your rest and recovery and the relationships that you keep and the things that you do on a daily basis that you alluded to in terms of compounding and the little things that you do add up. And you said something very specific, and I don't know if you caught this or intended, but you said how to change your mind. And you said not using the psychedelic version of mushrooms, but in How to Change Your Mind with Michael Pollan on Netflix, he specifically goes towards psychedelics, and he's talked about his experience with it. But there are these mushrooms are magnificent, and there are so many mushrooms that are healing that do not deliver a psychedelic or drug-like experience, from chaga to turkey tail to lion's mane. And they're so powerful, anti-inflammatory to, help you with all sorts of things, sex drive to, there's any number of things that they can help with. But you specifically said How to Change Your Mind. Have you watched that series on Netflix?
So I have not, but my dad is the one who's super into this right now.
Okay.
He is. So Dad's retired. He's just bought this specific type of wood. He's got it in some specific area, and he is currently growing.
He's growing mushrooms.
His own mushrooms. But that's the thing. Like, Dad is always down to try something once if it's good for you.
Yeah.
And if he sees the potential of, hey, this is going to, hey, I didn't feel anything. I'm not going to do it again. Hey, I actually felt something, or I look different, better. Then he's down for it. Which I really, and it's not even like, that's the coolest thing, is that like this piece of it, it's the most simplistic things that you're like, oh my gosh. Like I haven't watched that show, but I read this book recommended by Brian Grodzinskis, one of our key accounts managers, and it was talking about the power of breathing.
Oh yeah. Of
breathing.
So we can expand a little bit on this, because this is my wheelhouse. So I am 1 foot firmly in the present, the idea of what's going on in the world in terms of health. I'm big into biohacking and health and wellness and all the different ways, mental, physical, emotional, spiritual, but breathing ties back to the ancestral. So I have 1 foot in the now and today, the technology of today, but I have 1 foot in the technology of the past. And breathing can change your life outside of keeping you alive. It can change your life. And 2 narratives I'll give you that tie into breathing that can profoundly change so many people's lives. So I have an 8-year-old son, 2 sons, and the 8-year-old got a splinter in his hand a couple months ago. Didn't tell anyone, became infected, became like a pus bubble, hurt to close his hand. This was when he first started school this year. Comes out from his first class of school looking at me, and I'm like, what's going on with your hand? And he showed me, and I'm like, oh, we got to take that out. He's like, how are you going to take it out? I was like, tweezers. And he started laying on the floor in the middle of school on like the mezzanine floor and like crying. And like, he was The idea is he was anxious. He had anxiety about the future of what was to come. And this was 2 or 3 hours before it was going to happen. I told him the process. He freaked out. I was like, let's just go get dinner first. Don't worry about it. And so basically I taught him box breathing, because box breathing is something that'll take you. Have you heard of this before?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
I read the book. I read the breath book.
Right. So box breathing is something that anyone can do as long as you have breath in your lungs to take you from a heightened state of fight, flight, or fear, which you are, let's say you're at 8, 9, 10 of like, you're about to freak out. You can take yourself just through breath down to back like a 5 or a 6. So it's more manageable. And it's just 4 seconds through the nose, 8 seconds through the mouth, 6 times. I taught my son this, and I took him from because he had like a hyperventilating situation. He was crying before it happened. And I'm like, dude, just let's work on this breathing together. We did the breathing, brought him back down to a 5 or 6, took the splinter out. He looked at me, he's like, Dad, that didn't hurt at all. I'm like, I know. So I just taught my son how to like manage anxiety in the future through box breathing. On the other end of this, and this is why I wanted to bring it up, because it ties back into nicely what you were talking about with your dad growing mushrooms and how to change your mind. You can have a psychedelic experience with just your breath. Just your breath. Holotropic breathing, Wim Hof, if you've heard of this name before, he does it and he gets into expanded states. And what happens is we have DMT, which is the spirit molecule found in psychedelics, that can have godlike experiences in terms of divine experiences. You could have tremendous healing. A lot of these things that are happening in the world today in terms of therapeutics are based on these types of things. And you can get it through your breath, because we have DMT that's endogenous to our pineal gland, but also in our liver, that gets expressed through holotropic breathing. So it's really interesting that you bring up breathing, because I know a lot of people right now that are using it for healing purposes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So tell me about your experience with the breathing book. Yeah.
Okay. So 2 stories. One with the breathing. So kind of something normal and something wacky. Something normal that I do is very similar to your son. A breathing exercise, like I'm doing, if ever I'm going from, hey, I'm going out on stage. Hey, I've got a podcast. Hey, there's something, or hey, I'm switching from one meeting that was super, super anxious filled to another meeting where I need to be a totally different vibe and feeling. Just going to the bathroom and breathe and literally just sitting there to just have a moment by myself to get my breath in check is so insanely helpful. You feel so much more in control. Now, the one that I've liked the best is holding one side of my nose down,
breath of fire,
breathing in for 4 seconds,
okay,
and then holding the other side, breathing out for 4, breathe in this side again, out the other side. And you do that about 10 rounds.
Yeah.
Jesse, I'm not even joking. You can go from so incredibly anxious, I could punch somebody, to here we go. Everybody's going to feed off my energy. Like, let's go. Yep. And then, so that was the normal one that I was going to tell you. The wacky one was my poor husband. So when I go to bed, there are certain things that I do to like make sure that I am completely I can go into my cocoon. Okay. One of them is earplugs. The other is an eye mask. The third, y'all, you're going to think I'm nuts. No, I've got a retainer, and the other piece, and I learned this from this breath book, how bad mouth breathing is for you. Yeah. And I noticed that my throat was insanely dry when I would wake up in the morning, and I was like 100% I'm mouth breathing every single time. So what I do now is I get duct tape and I cover my mouth when I go to bed, and I look like a hostage going to sleep. And it freaking works. I feel so much better. My voice is like, I could sing Sound of Music. Like everything is more hydrated and just better for you. And it's wacky, but if it helps me be a better person and a more present person, I'm here for it.
You are on a podcast that has spoken to multiple people including myself, that have used psychedelics to travel the cosmos. So you sticking duct tape over your mouth while you're sleeping is par for the course. You're amongst friends.
Situation going on.
You're amongst friends. So I'm excited to try the duct tape over the mouth. I'll be honest, I'm a little scared. I don't know what's going to happen. Hopefully I don't die. If I do, it's your fault.
You will not die. Your nose
the body will kick in and you'll breathe. I know, but it's scary.
You can do it.
So these breathing methods, just really quickly before we jump back into BioLight, talk to us a little bit about, the benefit, you're doing some things that some people might think that are not a big deal. If they're doing this type of stuff, some people will be like, wow, that sounds crazy. But at the end of the day, it's bringing you a quality of life that you haven't had prior to these methods, right? What are you noticing in your business and your relationships and your personal life that's been augmented by doing these things?
Through breathing?
Yeah. Specific types of breathing. Yeah. Yep.
So specific types of breathing. So the duct tape method, I definitely noticed that I don't wake up with a sore throat.
Okay.
All I do all day is talk. So, and I'm a youngest child, and my uncle is an ENT. And when I went to go get some allergy testing done, he told me, he was like, we see that the youngest, no joke, that the youngest child has a tendency to have more vocal issues than the other siblings because they're always trying to talk over their siblings.
Yep.
And I found that hilarious and very true. So not only am I starting from a place of, I'm over talking, over communicating, then I breathe at night with my mouth open and I wake up with a sore throat. And you have to counteract that with drinking a ton of water, a ton of vitamin C and all those things, which are really good. But if I just put the duct tape on my mouth, keep my mouth closed, do the nose breathing.
Yes.
My voice sounds and feels, and my throat feels so much better.
That's wild.
So that means that when I am communicating and am on a podcast, I mean, just like this one, my voice sounds better. And I simply feel better and I feel more secure when my voice doesn't sound raspy or a level that it doesn't even sound like me. Now on the breathing side, like I mentioned before with the meetings, I have gone from a very intense legal meeting to like right into, hey, we're about to walk into the entire company and give a speech on how wonderful everything's going and how, it's a pump up speech pretty much.
Yeah.
And to change your energy in that short amount of time is very challenging. And especially me, who has a natural tendency to wear my emotions on my sleeve. Like if you can conquer yourself,
yes,
then you can conquer anything.
Yes.
And so that moment of, I'm not even joking, taking a minute to do the breathing exercise before, there was no bleed over from that really intense legal meeting that I just walked out of onto my team. And I'm highly aware of how my energy affects them.
Being present with presence, powerfully present, right? Being able to show up powerfully in the moment in authenticity and what the moment calls for. Right. It's cliche to say the present's a gift, but that's all we ever have. We don't have yesterday. We don't have tomorrow. None of those things are guaranteed. Like we've lived through yesterday. We can't change the past. We look forward to tomorrow and the future, but we don't know what's going to come or how it's going to come. We can kind of best guess it, but anything can happen. So really all we ever have is now. And breathing while you're alive, like this is something that you own, and you can manipulate your own breathing patterns to either A, do like a box breathing where you can come back into the present, stave off some of the anxiety, stave off some of the frustration, get back into the moment, get into the zone, or B, travel all the way down the other end of the spectrum and have a God moment with this kind of psychedelic experience. And I think it's powerful for people to hear that it's you don't need to go and do something wild. It's just a matter of learning how to take the moment. Like you said, a minute. For me, I can do 30 seconds of box breathing and it changes my state. It's a very powerful tool to put in the tool bag. So you kind of led into the idea of speaking in front of the company and like a rah-rah session and being on point. And so talk a little bit about BioLite and the idea of how it was first brought to inception of, okay, we're going to do this thing. And then how has it scaled since then? And what's the future look like?
So my dad has this funny story where he had BioLite. He had over 5,000 bottles sent to my parents' home. And it was our first ever having the product. And it gets delivered on this enormous tractor trailer that comes down my parents' driveway in Atlanta. And it arrived and he was all, oh boy, look at how awesome this is, the final product. And then he goes to bed that night and he wakes up the next morning and he walks out into the garage with his cup of coffee and goes, holy shit, what have I done? Like, what have I done? Why did I do this? Oh no. And so really, Jesse, there was a hope, there was a dream, there was, this product is the first of its kind. It's the world's first IV in a bottle, but there really wasn't a plan.
Okay.
And we just tried things. We went directly to the customer. We went to athletes. We went to cancer patients. We went to anybody and everybody and said, drink this product. See, and tell me what you think. And
boots on the ground, guerrilla marketing.
Insanely
door to door. Yeah.
Door to door. I loaded up my Toyota Highlander and went to high school football teams, independent pharmacies, independent oncology centers, independent C-stores. And you just learn by how people naturally, we just learned how people naturally use the product, when they use the product, why they use the product, through how they actually use the product.
Yes.
And we built our entire marketing campaign. We built the new label. We built the entire company based off of that feedback from customers. And that has been the thread of how BioLite has grown. So, and what I mean by that is, yes, we started off going directly to the customer, hearing what they wanted changed, hearing what they liked, what they didn't like.
Yep.
We do that with our team today.
Okay.
Hey, we just did our first virtual quarterly. What was great about it? What sucked? How would you improve it? And I mean, there are pieces of, okay, like the debrief is how BioLite has grown, taking everyone's accounts of how they would have improved an event, a meeting, an interaction, a conversation, and then implementing those changes that those people want to see. And our people have really enjoyed their voices being heard, because I don't care if you're, I do not care if you're a chief executive. I do not care if you're middle management. I do not care if you're straight out of college. I want to hear from you and what you think.
That's beautiful.
And that's how we built the business.
Everybody's voice matters, and you'll get gold, right? Like you'll hear where you're doing well, where you're not doing well, where people's expectations are. And so in that process of discovery, what were some of the initial findings? Both, let's call it positive and negative, or there probably really doesn't equate to that. But like, if you were like, what's the hard news? What's the good news kind of thing? Yeah.
When we first started, it was people hated the taste. Hated it. I remember I went to my first job that I ever had. I was a recruiter, and I took BioLite to that job with all of my old coworkers, and they straight bullied me.
Oh no.
They were like, this is disgusting. It's so gross. Why is it salty? No one's going to drink this, blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, okay, great. So we never changed the taste of it, but we changed the messaging of it tastes like it works. Like, it's salty. You cannot have close to 7 sports drinks packed into one bottle worth of electrolytes.
Yep.
And it not be salty. If it wasn't salty, you shouldn't believe me. And now people are like, man, I love that. I love that salted juice you've been slinging. And I'm just like,
slinging salty juice.
But because I'm not changing this, like, it doesn't make any sense for us to change it because it would make it less effective. And it is so quintessentially BioLite. So using that to our advantage, but in a way that spoke to the customer, that's a key thing that we took out of it. Sure.
It's marketing, just changing the verbiage to fit what is the truth.
Yeah.
What is the reality of it's got to be salty, and you need salt to hydrate. Salt holds water. You want water in your body, you're going to have some salt. And so
you're absolutely right.
Yeah. You're going to super hydrate. And so let's talk about, and if it's proprietary to a degree, don't go too far, but like, let's talk about some of the, if it's minerals, nutrients, aminos, like what are some of the things that are in the drink that you feel have been like power players in the drink that maybe stand apart from the competition?
So just to put it into comparison with the competition, you would have to drink close to 7 Gatorades to equal 1 bottle of BioLite worth of electrolytes.
Wow.
You would have to drink a jug and a half of Pedialyte to equal 1 bottle of BioLite.
Wow.
BioLite matches the electrolyte levels that you would find in a standard D5 half lactated ringer, which is a fancy word for an IV bag that is used in a non-operative setting. It uses the 3 key electrolytes that our body has: sodium, chloride, and potassium. And what's really neat about that specifically is not just the fact that it matches an IV bag. An IV bag literally matches human blood plasma. So the fact that BioLite has the electrolytes that it has is the perfect percentages that our actual blood needs of sodium, chloride, and potassium. So that's what makes it's not just the fact of like, we have a ton of electrolytes, drink this. Like, no. But the main piece of it is we have the exact amount of electrolytes that your blood needs. But that is not as good a point of sale item.
So let's talk about that piece of it, sale, right? And end user. And so you initially boots on the ground, door to door, target market research. This is where the inception was, and getting the feedback, changing the messaging to confront the obvious. It's going to be salty, but you need salt to survive. That's where the phrase, and I'm sure you probably
thrive.
Yeah, right. Like that. Thrive. So a pound of salt. Back in the day, different Roman warriors were paid in a pound of salt because salt, would be good for hydration. It was good for curing foods, that you can have foods last for a long time. So salt was a currency back in the day, and now it's something that keeps us thriving, like you said. Mm-hmm. Think about that end user. Where is the market shifted? Because in my mind, I'm ex-military, I'm still an athlete. Like there's a lot of applications for this, right? Like in the field, so to speak, right? There's military, right? Dealing with temperate conditions, deserts all the way to Arctic and in between. And people don't realize you sweat a ton in cold weather too. And if you do, you can die. Right. And so there's all these different applications, military, sports, there's keeping humans alive. There's medicinal purpose, qualities to it. Where has the trajectory gone today in terms of who you serve as the end user?
So we service three main channels. One being the athletic piece that can be anywhere from, cycling to, I would even consider military, super athletic. Anything to do with endurance athletics. And then you've got the second piece, which is the social piece. Yeah. Hey, I've had one too many alcoholic beverages.
Yeah.
Or, hey, I'm over 25 and my body doesn't metabolize alcohol like it used to when I was 21.
Let me just tell you, for someone who turned 40 is the cliff. So for me,
I'm telling you,
40 is the cliff.
My dad calls it the other side of 25. Like there's nothing you can do about it. Yeah. But drink BioLite. And then the third piece, which is the foundation of the product, you've got the chronic and acute illnesses. This goes anywhere from, hey, I got COVID, I've got the flu. Hey, I've got POTS. I'm going through cancer. Something where your body needs very efficient hydration. Yep. BioLite is the only answer 7 days a week and twice on Sunday. And so, but a lot of times people are like, you have to pick one. You've got to choose the sweaty sports or sweaty occupations or the social avenue or the medical avenue. And what we feel, which is the connecting force behind all of them, is we're just trying to give people better health care.
Yes.
So it's not a medical piece. It is, but it's also equal parts lifestyle. We're trying to give people health care anywhere and everywhere they need it.
Have you heard of BHAGs before? BHAG, big, hairy ass, audacious goals.
Yes. Yes.
What's the big, hairy ass, audacious goal for BioLite? Like the world's your oyster. You could impact as deep as you want. You could grow as far as you want. You could serve as big as you want. What's the dream?
The dream for BioLite is, Jesse, we have a revolutionary product on our hands. This is the first ever product that says, hey, if you are dehydrated and you can take things by mouth.
Which, by the way, not to cut you off, most humans are dehydrated.
Most humans are dehydrated, but we're not going after ooh, I'm parched.
Yeah.
Ooh, I, went for a little 15 mile, 15 minute light walk. And I'm going to have a BioLite with some carrots. Like, that's not what we're going for. My dad has invented something.
Yeah.
He has invented the world's first IV in a bottle. And we want BioLite to be considered in everyone's mind for what it is. That is the best recovery drink, recovery products, medical grade products that you can easily and affordably get over the counter.
Love it. Love it. Last question before we hop off. I'd be remiss to ask you, where can we get BioLite?
You can get it a lot of different places. You can get it on our website. If you want to try some, we've got a 4-bottle sample pack, so you can try all the flavors. You can get it at Kroger, Publix, Ingles, Racetrack, QT. We're in close to 20,000 locations, and also Amazon, if you're a big Amazon person.
Yes. Shipping nationwide, I'm assuming.
Yeah, shipping nationwide. And if you have a store that you would want BioLite in, please reach out to our customer service people and we will hook you up.
Love it. And anything on the bucket list, the personal side outside of BioLite that you're looking to accomplish this year or next year that's coming up for you? Anything you're looking forward to?
So BioLite made the Inc. 5000 Thank you. That was huge. It was I love awards. So that was big. We were number 20 on one of the fastest growing food and beverage companies in the United States.
Wow. What a dense market too. Yeah.
Right. It's crazy. And
Congrats.
then I recently got 40 under 40 in Atlanta, and I'm very proud of that. That's a big deal. That's like the 40 people in Atlanta that are
crushing it.
That are doing well. But probably the thing that I'm most excited about, I'm leading my first ever Bible study at Northside United Methodist, and I have a group of the most lovely young women, and I'm so looking forward to learning from them and hopefully imparting a little bit of I hope God speaks. When He speaks through me to them, I hope that they're open to it and they learn some stuff from me as well.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Great journey. Great story from the impetus of something that was dire and dismal in terms of your mom's health to now she's back in her health and the world. By the way, how has she been in remission really quickly? Has she been good?
She's thriving.
Beautiful.
She's doing so great. She's very happy because Dad's retired now.
Okay, nice. So they can enjoy each other. They hopefully they're empty nesters. They can do their thing. But that's great. So great that she's thriving. And from this real place of let's heal mom to now helping to heal thousands, if not hundreds of thousands or more, millions. Congratulations. Yes. Thank you for sharing the story, sharing the journey. Thank you for being you. Very powerful, very energetic. And I'm excited to see where your journey leads and however I could be of service moving forward. But I wanted to be the first viewer, the first listener of the Jessie T Show to say thank you so much. And we look forward to seeing the next steps in your journey.
Thank you, Jesse. It was a treat.
It's been a pleasure.